My name is I go by Nino Boy. You know, and I'm from Tuba City, the Navajo Reservation. Both there and as well of Ajo, Arizona. You know, oh yeah, man, that's the TO Res, that Tonotum Reservation. So, oh yeah.
So what's the upbringing like in the Navajo or the reservation opposed to like the city? More hardships, or do you think
It's I would say it's a different world. Because I mean, you have a reservation out here, which is the Salt River, and then many other reservations that's down south of the valley. But the Navajo Reservation is more up north. You know, I would say it's a whole different mentality and a whole different scenery when it comes from the reservation to the city. You know what I mean? And many others have different opinions about it because some are deep in the reservation. You know what I mean? Tuba City, where I'm from, is the outskirts of the reservation. Okay. So, I mean, not the outskirts, but close to the outskirts. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man. So
how long have you been doing music?
I've been doing music since, man. Oh man, it's been a long time, man. I remember the first music video I've seen. I mean, there's tons of music videos that I've seen. You know what I mean? As a kid, you know what I mean? Back MTV days, and
yeah.
You know what I mean? And one that stood out to me was Bone Thugs, man. Bone Thugs, the Harmony, that thuggish, ruggish bone, man. I think I was about 5 years old. No, 6 or 7, I do believe. I remember we were staying. I was staying with my aunt. I can't remember, somewhere on the west side of Phoenix. It was close to where on Grand, where it used to be Lucky's. There was a place that used to be Lucky's. I think that was the same spot around that area. You know what I mean? And so yeah, man, because I mean there was a lot of, you know what I mean, a bunch of bison bars and all that up the street, and a bunch of strip clubs, and as from what I remember, you know what I mean? But yeah, man.
Yeah. So that's what like pretty much got you into hip hop, was Bone Thugs. Like the first introduction, really.
That pretty much stood out to me because of the style. You know what I mean? And plus, at the same time, it was, you know what I mean, how I would say, growing up more, I would listen to a Tribe Called Quest, you know what I mean, because it's like the East Coast to the West Coast and Midwest and so on and so forth. And this was before I even heard of, like, you know what I mean, the Tech Nine and Twista and the East Side, or the ones that they was rolling with back in the day.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then when I finally heard Twista and his little group, you know what I mean? And plus, at the same one, I can't forget Do or Die, man. You know what I mean? Back in the day, man. So, yeah, man, that Poe Pimpin', man, right there, man. That got me on a, hell yeah, man. So I was like, hell yeah. That's the one thing that stood out to me. You know what I mean? That was it. I think it was many years later. This is when I was back on the reservation. I heard the album Heads or Penny, or I think it was Heads or Tails. I think it was called, or something like that. I can't remember, man. But yeah, my cousin Aaron, yeah, he's the one that got me onto that. You know what I mean? I heard a couple of songs, but then when I heard that album, I'm like, yo, man, you know what I mean? They had that style, like, you know what I mean, the fast flow, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was the kind of direction I was going into, and so on and so forth. But, well, yeah, man.
Okay. So I'm gonna kind of rephrase this question I asked previously. What was your upbringing like, as far as like family-wise, school? Was kind of,
well, the most upbringing, I would say, and you know what I mean, I don't think I took advantage of it. It was, you know what I mean, because like on my dad's side, there are a bunch of musicians, you know, chicken scratch to rock and roll to blues and so on and so forth, you know what I mean? And so the biggest one down south, down southern of Arizona, you know what I mean, with the TO and all the natives down that way, you know what I mean, it's chicken scratch.
okay.
You know, and on my father's side, they had a band, they had a band called East Los Molinas, or Los Papagos East Los Molinas, and so they were very popular back in the I do believe from the 70s, 60s, 70s on up, and I think that's where my last name is Molina. So that was kind of like, you know what I mean, a generational thing. You know, I'm the 4th generation of Molinas. So, you know what I mean, but being in the music, not only in that sense, but, you know what I mean, coming out with you know what I mean, hip hop and rock and roll. Because before all this, I was never really, I never got into hip hop. You know what I mean, like definitely like when I was growing up, it was mainly like rock and roll and, you know what I mean, blues, you know what I mean, Latin oldies and all that. And until, you know what I mean, that's when I started hearing hip hop. Hip hop was there, I would hear it. But then again, it wasn't catching my ear, you know what I mean? Until, like I said, when later on with Bone Thugs and Harmony and then Tribe Called Quest, you know what I mean? Talib Kweli and, you know what I mean? And so on and so forth, you know what I mean? And Met the Man, you know what I mean? Or, yeah, you know what I mean? Redman and you know, the Wu-Tang and, you know what I mean? It just back it different, you know what I mean? Especially like with the Tupac and Biggie with the West Coast scene that was going on, you know what I mean? Yeah, man, Tupac was like a major influence to a lot of people. Yeah. And so, you know what I mean? Of course, definitely I listened to Tupac back in the day, you know what I mean? So again, shout out to my boy, Nathaniel Peaches, man, you know what I mean? We grew up on the south side of Tuba, man, so, you know what I mean? Rough days, you know what I mean? Especially like when you know what I mean, with the back to the question where, you know what I mean, how was the upbringing between the city and the reservation? Yeah. You know what I mean? The reservation, honestly, to tell you, man, it's fucking grimy as fuck, man. You know what I mean? I think that's why, like, my whole personality, like, when you see me, like, you know what I mean? I'm chill and everything like that because I don't have to worry. Why? Because I already been there. You know what I mean? It's like, sometimes when you go to the reservation, it's kind of like a third world country. You know what I mean? So pretty much what mainly folks had experienced here, we already experienced already. You know what I mean? Besides, like, you know what I mean? The street shit and all that. The reason why I say I'm Reservation Tough or Reservation Maze because, you know what I mean, not only stricken by poverty, but racism. You know what I mean, Flagstaff, we're between Flagstaff and Tuba City, about 75 miles apart from each other. You know what I mean, that's the outskirts, the borderline. So the borderline of living on that sense, or in that town, and Flagstaff, because I lived in Flagstaff as well, which shout out to my boy Project X, you know what I mean, that's where I first met him on the reservation at a show when I ran to get my demo for him, man. So, and now we've been friends for a long time, man. But you know, and so dealing with racism between white folks and Native Americans, it was kind of like a headbuster, like damn, you know what I mean? But growing up, you know what I mean, I always had that sense of like, you know what I mean, you know what I mean, it was always in my heart, my compassion for people. But sometimes, you know what I mean, it's just how we're raised, how perceptions of others and how everybody is, you know what I mean, they get that habit of, oh man, this and that, oh those Indian savages, oh man, fuck them white folks, blah, this and that, and so on and so forth, you know what I mean? And part none, don't take this to heart, but you know what I mean, it is what it is, you know what I mean? The shit that you done, especially myself, you know what I mean, the shit that I've done in my life, I'm not proud of. However, I dealt with the consequences and still dealing with them today. But, you know what I mean, all bullshit aside, you know what I mean, that's a whole different other concept, you know what I mean? Especially Flagstaff, the birthplace of Mixed Faces Productions, man. So, you know what I mean, with Mixed Faces all day, every day, you feel me?
There you go. So, at what age, did you say that you did rock music before?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
So what age were you? Did you introduce into like making music yourself, like making the genre that we know rock?
Okay, so my biggest influences back then when I started this, especially like from rock and roll and all of that, you know what I mean? Especially with blues, you know what I mean? Stevie Ray Vaughan, you know what I mean, was a major influence. Rat, you know what I mean? My mom will always listen to Police, you know what I mean? The rock band. And man, there's so many. There's so many. You know what I mean? And then that's what I got into, like Pantera, you know what I mean? I got into like, yeah, you know, the more of the heavier stuff, and then, you know what I mean, Metallica, you know what I mean? It all based on, you know what I mean, Ozzy Osbourne, you know what I mean? That was it, yeah, man, there's just so many that, you know what I mean, to answer. But along those lines, you know what I mean, when I remember back in high school when Linkin Park came out, right? The Hybrid Theory, you know what I mean? Yo, that was the shit. You know what I mean? That was a fucking shit. And that's what I like, because like hearing this, both sides of hearing like 808s and all of that, you know what I mean? It was like, man, you know what I mean? And that's something that I like pretty much liked, you know what I mean? And so putting those two together, like, yo, man, that's what's up. And then around that time, I do believe Slipknot came out, you know what I mean? And then they had a DJ, you know what I mean? They had a DJ in there, you know what I mean? He mixed it up with samples and
it's fusing kind of rock.
Exactly. Yes. And you know what I mean? I like that stuff. That's the type of shit I like, you know what I mean? And so I went up from there, and then Deftones, and then it got more and more, and then after that to now, it's like there's a whole lot of bands out there that, you know what I mean, that I was influenced by. As long as that, plus back in the day, the band that we started was called Insecure. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. And I did bass, partially bass, backup vocals, and samples. You know what I mean? Had a little piano back in the day. You know what I mean? And had like a little, you know what I mean? Upload little samples to it and make all types of, you know what I mean? That time I didn't know what it, you know what I mean? The drum machines. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I didn't know how, like, I didn't know how to work one of those. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just fuck with this piano. You know what I mean? So making synth sounds and all that. So we kind of mixed up like hard rock, metal, funk, and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? But I remember this, man. We would practice for days and days and on weeks and whatever. And I remember we were supposed to do our first show, but then everybody, you know how rock and roll goes. Sometimes some people are more, they have bigger egos than the next or whatever, and blah this and that. And it's like you know, we'll do what I say we do, but you know what I mean. And the band started kind of falling, and then things started falling apart and all of that. You know what I mean? And so after that, man, so like, you know, like, all right. And so that was just pretty much the practice part that we played. You know what I mean? But from there on, I would just, you know what I mean, go on and do whatever, you know what I mean, side shows or whatever. That's pretty much it, man.
What age was this when you were like?
This is actually when I was in high school. So this was like between 2000 and 2006.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because, well, you know what I mean, knowing me, I fucked up a lot. So I, you know what I mean, get held back 2 more years in high school.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? Yeah, it does, man. You know, I mean, that's when between my high school years, like junior and senior year, it started getting more serious. You know what I mean? Like for myself of getting into alcohol and so on and so forth. Because, you know, in my hometown, it's kind of like the movie. What was it called? The movie Friday Night Lights, I think it was called.
Okay.
You know what I mean? The football town. You know what I mean? And so with that, I was into football and wrestling. You know what I mean? So wrestling and football were the only main traits that I liked.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So yeah, man. You know what I mean? My grand folks would always push me to always get into you know what I mean, being athletic. You know what I mean? Within those sports.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that kind of plays more of a role into my daily life now. You know what I mean? Especially of the stuff that I used to do before. You know what I mean?
Like
But
the discipline behind it, or?
the discipline. You know what I mean? Not only is being healthy, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Like, okay, yeah, like you said, like the discipline, the mentality. You know what I mean? The mentality of it. You know what I mean? So, but then it got to the point to where between then and now, or then before I got locked up, you know what I mean? I took it to my head. You know what I mean? I took too many to the head, and you know what I mean? Thought I was like better than everybody else, and then I would start fighting with everybody, blah this and that. You know what I mean? So. You know what I mean? You win some, you lose some, but then there was, you know what I mean? I come from an era, you know what I mean? And I do believe most people know, like some of the old school would say, you know what I mean? You get your ass kicked, fuck, man, you get your ass up, toss him a beer, or you get a beer, fucking handshake, blah this and that's it. You know what I mean? Nowadays, everybody retaliating and trying to, you know what I mean, do whatever it is, but I just say because they're all based on their fucking feelings, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? I kind of cut that out, the feeling part. But then again, sometimes it gets me in trouble too. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to feel or not numbing myself or numbing myself to whatever bullshit is going on. You know what I mean? Because that's better for me to do. You know what I mean? Because everybody's unique in their own way. And so, but yeah, but enough of that shit.
What was I think it was hard to transfer from doing rock to hip hop. Classify you just by, I mean, I don't want to say you're like, you're pretty diverse when it comes to music for sure. About your hip hop, you are hip hop.
Yeah.
You know, you definitely have more authentic hip hop.
Definitely, you know what I mean? And especially hip hop back in the days, and I think most majority of people would agree as well, is that growing up with hip hop, especially having the 4 elements, you know, MCing, you know what I mean, breaking, you know what I mean, turntables, you know what I mean, people on the turntables, you know what I mean, on the 1s and 2s, and graffiti art. You know what I mean? And that was something, not only something to do, but it was a culture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It still is a culture. You know what I mean? And that's the part where I'm always having trouble with headbutting with a lot of folks sometimes, especially with the new stuff that's coming out and so on and so forth. But you know what I mean. But at the same time, it's more like, you know what I mean. Well, their creativity. What is their creativity differs than ours?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They come from the same, but you know what I mean. Just because we don't agree with them, with you know what I mean, because all you hear now is like sipping on lean, this and that, knowing bitches and money and all that. That's cool, man. If you're getting it, that's what's up, man. But if you ain't, then dude, you know, cut that shit. you know what I mean? It's like, it's basically for like my music back in the day, it was all about fighting. So that was all I did, was fight music and fuck you, motherfucking body. So now you want to come get some, you know what I mean? Like, want some, come get some. That was my motto, you know what I mean? Want some, come get some. You know what I mean? And that's just how it is, you know, the old school wave, you know what I mean? Man, being that person, especially where like, another that played into it, I was bullied as a kid. Okay. You know what I mean? So basically I became a bully to bullies. You know what I mean? So I always get my ass kicked out of school because I would always beat up, you know what I mean, the school bully that would pick on, you know what I mean, some of the ROTC troops, or like, you know what I mean, or like back in our day, what we would call it, nerds, and you know what I mean? Like dude, yo, he's doing my homework, man, fuck you. Yo, leave him alone. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean, that all played in tight together of, you know what I mean, living where I'm from, you know what I mean? Yeah, man, you know what I mean? I think it was just myself would just, you know what I mean, being too prideful, you know what I mean, of where I came from. You know what I mean? Because what I know is that transferring from there to here, it's a whole different scenery. It's a whole different world. You know what I mean? Because the majority of people will see it, oh, there's really nothing out there about this and that, but you got to see behind it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Dig deep in it. You know what I mean? Because right now where I live at, it's 99% of fucking suicides that are going on. You know what I mean? And so, you know what I mean, you got more homicides out there than you see in the city, you know what I mean, especially now with the COVID that's going on, you know what I mean. So Navajo Nation is the hot spot right now, but still, yeah, I still got love for my hometown, you know what I mean. But yeah, man.
So I've been locked up, you've been locked up. I don't want to talk too much about cases or anything like that. How did that impact your music career? Do you think it had an impact at all?
Well, to be honest, again, man, I went down, you know what I mean, 3 years, ADOC, you know what I mean, number 295-398, you know what I mean. I don't think it impacted in a sense. Well, it has little, but I try to keep that part out, and you know what I mean. But then I can't really say I can't, because it all impacted on how, you know what I mean, I view things now, the perception, you know what I mean. So even with that, it kind of made me more doing, you know what I mean, shit that like, okay, if I'm gonna say something, then it has to be a point to where it's giving a message or letting it be known, because there's other people out there that know, you know what I mean, and you know what I mean, I don't want to put it out there too. I mean, you've been down as well, you know what I mean, so you know how it is between, you know what I mean, but even especially inside, the politics is way different than how we see it outside, you know what I mean. So, you know what I mean, me being a Native American, rolling with the Chiefs, you know what I mean, DP, and then you got Warrior Society, you know what I mean, and that's pretty much as far I'm going to say, but you know what I mean, it's very well stricken, you know what I mean. The way I seen it was more, you know what I mean, that the Chiefs were more strict than any other race that I've seen inside, you know what I mean, depending on where you are, I guess, depending on where you are, you know what I mean. And so, but I mean, when I went down, there was a truce between, you know what I mean, both Native American brothers. So, you know what I mean, that was a good thing, you know what I mean. And, you know what I mean, and even though I tried to lay low, you know what I mean, it was always, you know what I mean, you know what I mean, you get yourself into something. If you're told to do it, you got to do it, you know what I mean. So, you know what I mean, but besides that, and I mean, getting out after that, kind of, I kind of went off the question. But let me get back to that question, where did the music impact, you know what I mean, how was it?
Being locked up, did it impact your music career, or did
it did now, it does now, since now that I've been out for a couple years, you know what I mean, I got out in 2016, so, you know what I mean, and during that time when I went in, it's like, I didn't write nothing, I didn't want to do nothing with music, you know what I mean, I said, fuck it, I gave it up, I don't want it, you know what I mean, it just brought me trouble, blah, this and that, and, you know what I mean, feeding in all the stuff that people would tell me, you know what I mean, it's not going to get you nowhere, about this and that, so I'm like, yeah, all right, cool, but the thing is that I had to work on me, you know what I mean, I had to work on me, and so as soon as I did, you know what I mean, things started becoming more clear, you know what I mean, but yeah, man, that was there, and then later on down the road when I got out, and you know what I mean, I said, fuck it, I still got all this equipment, and might as well put it to use. And bam, there it is. You know what I mean? So even till now, it's still on and off. But the thing is that, you know what I mean, I don't like to try to brag myself to, you know what I mean, to where, however it is, because if I do, then I back that shit up. You know what I mean? So, you know, not only me, but as many other people. And I will quote this, you know what I mean, as they say that, bro, you're fucking underrated. You know what I mean? You're underrated. You're a fucking versatile artist and all of that. So it's like you're an artist behind the artist that pretty much just pushes them out or whatsoever, and so on and so forth. But again, it's like from my side, I really don't try to claim as much as, you know what I mean, as whatever it is, as whatever people see. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because that's not my glory to take. You know what I mean? Even if so, like I say, you know what I mean? I don't really give a fuck about the fame. I don't really give a fuck about the money. It's all about me giving back to those that, you know what I mean? Because I've been there. You know what I mean? We've been, some people have been there. We all been there. Especially coming up in the music business, you know what I mean? And all that. You can have $1 million setup, but still sound like trash. You know what I mean? And you have a little small setup about this and that. You know what I mean? You see it all the memes all the time. You know what I mean? But they come out with $1 million hits. You know what I mean? And that's no disrespect to anybody that's going to see this whatsoever. You know what I mean? You do what you do. You do what you got to do, and you don't forget where you came from. You know what I mean? And so that's pretty much it, man.
So, you know, with just your regular life, like family, work, and everything, do you think that holds you back from your music at all, or how do you make time for your music?
Well, especially in change now. You know what I mean? Through the transformation that I made. You know what I mean? It's a battle between family and the things that you're doing. You know what I mean? Because I made music a lifestyle for myself. You know what I mean? Because, you know, you already know the music soothes the soul. You know what I mean? The music can make you go left, can make you go right. You know what I mean? I try not to put in, or I try not to say middle fence, because there's no such thing, or the middle fence does not exist. It's either yes or no, yes sir, yes ma'am, this and that. I mean, that's just how I discipline myself on seeing it. And so either you take a left or you take a right. You know what I mean? Shit, if you get bumped back 10 steps, man, fucking keep moving, man. You know what I mean? Another motto that I always come up with. You know what I mean? Whatever the fuck you is in, or whatever you're dealing with, man, suck it the fuck up, because life ain't gonna fucking stop for you. You know what I mean? Life is not going to stop for you. I mean, get your head out of your ass and keep moving. Even myself, I mean, even though that I'm thriving over here, I'm still human. You know what I mean? The old self always tries to come back. You know what I mean? And I cannot fathom on the shit that I've done, that I've seen, that I've heard. You know what I mean? And I pretty much pray that nobody ever sees the shit that I've seen and that I've done. You know what I mean? I think that's the biggest thing yet. You know what I mean? So, but moving on from there, you know what I mean? Now, family is my priority. You know what I mean? I may not be the best father or be the best person, but knowing that I don't give up. You know what I mean? And then, you know what I mean? That's the biggest thing to swallow. The biggest pill to swallow is pride. You know what I mean? Especially if you come from a place where you fight all the time. You know what I mean? Like fighting growing up. You know what I mean? Especially me, being bullies, me and my brothers. You know what I mean? We're fighters. You know what I mean? But sometimes you gotta bite your lip and fucking give it hell. You know what I mean? Especially in the life you is, because it's not upon yourself. If you're gonna make a change, you better fucking do it now, because life is not gonna stop for you until say, oh man, turn around and grab you by the fucking hand. It's not. You know what I mean? In the same way with anybody that's thriving, nobody should fucking turn around and try to pick your ass up just because you're slacking. You know what I mean? The door's always gonna be open. If you want to come in, fucking join them. You know what I mean? Fucking join me. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I'm gonna give you the same motherfucking motivation that I'm gonna give to everybody else. No less. Everybody's equal in this whole shit. There's no high, there's no low, blah, this and that. Sometimes may seem that way a bit, but again, like I said, we're only human. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man. So with that, being a father is my main priority. You know what I mean? So
pertaining to COVID, how has COVID impacted you at all as far as music? I know shows are down, and you know, a lot of other things going on with COVID, but has it impacted you as an artist?
It has. I think now it's more. Man, that's a good one. That's a tough one.
Everything is digital now. I mean, there's no shows, no live shows.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, my daughter's in online school, man. You know, man. It's like, what was this shit when we were back in high school, man? But yeah, man. I think that is changing as being an artist. Everything now, like, you know what I mean. Like, if you talk about like COVID, besides that, now you just brought up a good one about digital.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything's like USB. Even USB is about to be obsolete soon.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You know, back in the day, it was like, I remember the first recording that I did was on a tape deck. You know what I mean? And well, CDs were already out that time. I mean, I'm 34. I'm not that fucking old, but you know what I mean. But you know what I mean. I lived an old school life, man. So I'm very, very grateful and very, you know what I mean, humbled that I cherish the values and morals of, you know what I mean, of the old school way. You know what I mean, and all that. But yeah, man, man, everything now, man, you see is changing drastically with technology and so on and so forth. Oh, watch out, man, 5G's gonna get you. You know what I mean, now, but you know what I mean. But that's a whole different other story too. No, but you know what I mean. But the thing is that, you know what I mean. Shoot, man, it's changing. So sometimes you gotta make change with yourself with it. You know what I mean. Sometimes you gotta, you know what I mean. I can't say cope. There's another word for it. Oh, adapt. There you go. You know what I mean? Adapt to it. You know what I mean? And it's not really that bad. You know what I mean? It's not really that bad. But how COVID affected me with being an artist too, as well as losing a lot of people. You know what I mean? I lost a lot of people this year by itself alone. It kind of takes me back, you know what I mean, back in before my high school years.
From COVID related or just?
Yeah, well, just by relating by people passing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a whole nother segment that I'm not gonna get into because, you know what I mean, that's wholly, you know what I mean, I'm not gonna fucking deal with that shit. But yeah, man, you know what I mean, losing people is a hard fucking thing. You know what I mean? But I can't say that, oh, I'm used to that shit. I mean, partially I am. You know what I mean? I think that's where the feelings where I kind of tend to hide. You know what I mean? Not only saying is that you're balling and you're capping it in. It's more of like, you know what I mean? It's something that I'm very used to. You know what I mean? To a point to where you can mourn. You know what I mean? But you can't live in mourning because that will fucking drastically change your whole fucking perception of life and fuck you up mentally and physically. You know what I mean? My boy Sheldon Lindio, you know what I mean? He recently passed a week, 2 weeks ago. And that kind of threw me off, you know what I mean? And I think if some of y'all see my live video, you know what I mean, y'all see me tear and cry. And that's the first time I ever cried like that for somebody. Well, besides other stuff, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, it's hard. It's hard, you know what I mean? But I think if you know now to celebrate a person's life, it gives you more comfort than knowing that, oh man, my homie's gone, or this. So it's more like I tend to look on more of the better things that we had growing up, you know what I mean, and all that, and instead of thinking about, oh man, what would have led him into doing this, or so on and so forth. That part is already done and over with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, there's still a bunch of fucking questions, but you know what I mean? I'm no fucking investigator. You know what I mean? I observe, but I'm no fucking investigator. So, you know what I mean? That sometimes there's some shit that you gotta let go, and sometimes there's a point to where you just need to shut the fuck up and listen. You know what I mean? And at that point, sometimes you just don't fucking say nothing at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Do you have any projects that you plan on releasing?
Right now.
You're always working on
I know.
music.
Yeah, I think I gave a lot of people a lot of snippets. You know? Yeah, and yeah, man. So like, but the thing is, like, the most time, like most part, it's like I'll give snippets and all that. But then again, it would be like, yeah, man, I didn't hear this on the album. Where's the one I see it? It's like, yeah, so it's a whole totally different. Oh, that's gonna go out to the next one, you know, or the next one, or you know what I mean. So yeah, you know what I mean. And I'm not the type of guy that always like, you know what I mean, like, oh man, I like to share my music no matter what, even if it's unfinished or not or whatsoever, you know what I mean? Oh man, you shouldn't do that, man. And, you know what I mean? Probably people are not, you know what I mean? People are not gonna be surprised. So fucking what, man? It's my music, you know what I mean? It's my music, man. You know what I mean? If you want to do that with your music, that's fine, that's cool, man. If you have a set of rules that you follow by, whatever you follow by and learn from or whatever and so on and so forth, that's cool, man. But the thing is, man, be you, do you. Don't be anybody else, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? I think that's the biggest thing, the most common thing is now. I mean, because it's a habitual thing, a habit that we learn all the time. I mean, just like hate, racism, and all that. It's all fucking a learned state. It's all learned. It's taught. You know what I mean? So you can unlearn that, and you know what I mean. Be your own person, man. You know what I mean?
What's your next move in the future for your music? Where you plan on going next with it?
Wherever it leads me. You know what I mean? Wherever it leads me. Like I said, I don't charge people for features or anything like that. And this is not saying anything like what I've seen on Facebook or whatsoever. That's just me. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I came from the same place, and you know what I mean. And there's a lot of people out. There's a lot of talent out there. You know what I mean? There is a lot of talent out there. You know what I mean? And like I said, I don't care if it's the credit is due or whatsoever. I just like helping people out, getting them out there and say, "Boy, this and that." But then you got some folks that go like, "Man, I remember he used to be this and that." You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I want to get why you ain't giving me a shout out, and so I was like, motherfucker, shut the fuck up and be humble, man. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man, your time will come. You know what I mean? Yeah. So.
Do you have any shout outs you want to give out?
I want to give a shout out to everybody that is tuning in right now, that is watching this. If you're not watching, then well, okay, that's cool. I want to give out first of all, I want to give a shout out to God first. You know what I mean? First and only. Of course, definitely at this moment, you always got to have God in my. For me, you know, I'm not gonna say, "Oh, you need God in your life." No, that's just me. You know what I mean? I'm not here to change hearts. I'm not here to change minds. You know what I mean? I'm just here to present the truth of the experience that I went through. You know what I mean? But again, I want to give a huge shout out to the man above first. I want to give a shout out to my lady for always holding it down, especially dealing with my shit all the fucking time. You know what I mean? Because yeah, you know what I mean? I want to give a shout out to my mixed face family. I want to give a shout out to all those who had passed. You know what I mean, that are no longer here with us. You know what I mean? Always in our hearts, they will never be forgotten. I want to give a shout out to my boy Project X. I want to give a shout out to all those out there. Native Ambition, Res Entertainment for the gear. You know what I mean? Man, you know what I mean? You guys got to check it out. Native Ambition, Jamie, my boy right there, man. Richard, Res Entertainment. I want to give a shout out to all those out there that had, you know what I mean, been a part of my life. You know what I mean? Especially moving on and so forth and so forth. Shout out to Native King. Shout out to Drama Valley Beats. Shout out to Quali. You know what I mean? Shout out to man, Ghost the Alchemist. You know what I mean? The whole 867 family, man. You know what I mean? I want to give out shout out to Dallas, man, for showing much love too, man, especially on the reservation, man. You know what I mean? Shout out to Stacy. Shout out to man, there's so many. There's so many. You know what I mean? I had it all in my head, like, yeah, this isn't it. But now when I'm getting it, it's like Blake niggas the hardest part. You know what I mean? And if, like everybody else too. If I forgot anybody or if I didn't mention any names, man, holler at me and definitely I'll give you a shout out too. You know what I mean? And all that. It's just in the moment. You know what I mean? Especially when you have lights, cameras right on you, and I got this little mic on me. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, I'm in the moment. You know. But again. Yeah. Oh, much love. Oh yeah, definitely. I-17 and Thomas. No, just kidding. No. Yeah, I'm not gonna give you where I live, but you see me around. Nah, it's fine. But yeah, man. You can catch me on SoundCloud. You can catch me on Spotify. You know what I mean? All it is Nino Boy music. You know what I mean? Or any of that, search Nino Boy. You know what I mean? If you're under Spotify, I mean, and all that. So, same one with YouTube, Nino Boy TV. You know what I mean? The lot of vlogs and the videos and all of that. So, you know what I mean? I think one thing about these videos and the vlogs things, you know what I mean? I barely learned that, 2018 on and off, and then 2019 it just took off, man. You know what I mean? I think it was just a program that my homie, shout out to Terrence. There you go. Shout out to Terrence Mix God. You know what I mean? Especially with the music, with the, you know what I mean, the VSTs and everything like that. You know what I mean? For Fruity Loops that I work with. You know what I mean? So again, shout out to him for the hookups on the programs and everything. You know what I mean? What I use is DaVinci Resolve. You know what I mean? And so I didn't know how to work that until, of course, definitely I went to YouTube and, you know what I mean, self-taught myself, and then now the videos are where it's at, man. You know what I mean? So, yeah, definitely.
Music videos, seeing the vlogs.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Putting in work for Arizona.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You know what I mean? And again, I'm just going to say this. If you don't like it, oh, fucking well. The biggest pet peeve that I have right now, and I have to address this. If you say that you're all Arizona and you have not been out of this city, not talking about the next state or whatsoever, but you did shows all around in Arizona, then you are Arizona. You know what I mean? The city is just not Arizona itself, you feel me? And trust me, I know that. I've been to places, I've been there, you know what I mean? So again, I think that's just one fucking pet peeve, and another, fucking use your blinkers. Arizona fucking drive. Phoenix folks don't know how to fucking drive for shit, bro, I'm telling you. You know what I mean? But that's all. Peace out.